St. Louis FC has climbed back into the playoff race in the Western Conference. Tonight they want to stay there. Tulsa Roughnecks FC in town. This evening's St. Louis FC match is brought to you by the Cheshire, St. Louis, and LHM. For bookings and more information, visit www.cheshirestl.com. Good evening, everyone. Welcome inside Toyota Stadium for tonight's USL matchup between St. Louis FC and the Tulsa Roughnecks. Alongside my broadcast partner, Ross Davenport. My name is Neil Rule. Happy to have you along for the ride wherever you may be watching around the world. And Ross, as we take a look at the Tulsa Roughnecks, it's been a bit of a rough go, especially on the road, especially, Ross, in the first half.
Yep, no wins away from Tulsa yet this season, but they have looked a little better since that coaching change in late June. They're only averaging a goal a game on the season, but have scored 2 or more goals in 4 of the last 6. They were a tough loss last time out against Real Monarchs, a late penalty that potentially wasn't one. But they've looked a lot better again since that coaching change.
Absolutely, coming in with a 2-3-3 mark in their last 8 matchups. The problem's been finding the back of the net, but the Tulsa Roughnecks looking to do that here on the road in St. Louis. Let's take a look at our player to watch tonight. He is number 11, Corey Hertzog. Now, Ross, this is a guy that led the nation in goals during his college days at Penn State. Scored 27 goals in 2 seasons with Pitt in 2016 and 17. He's a guy that can be a factor.
Yeah, it's a slight surprise to not see him in the lineup tonight, but he has been in and out of it since June or July. He had started the last 2 games, and he's featured in the last 6. He did score, as you just saw there, on that poor back pass against Sacramento Republic. We'll see if he can make an impact off the bench tonight.
It's a hot one in St. Louis, and there's a lot on the line, especially for St. Louis FC. Can they stay in the mix? We will find out. We'll have the opening kick. We're getting ready to kick it coming up next.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to theelectricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Here come the last of our 2018s.
Toyota's national clearance event is the best part of summer.
And with super low APR financing and great lease deals, it won't last long.
Oh, I'm so excited.
You are not alone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah! Yes!
But my job.
Get $2,500 customer cash on a new 2018 RAV4. Or get 0% APR for 48 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on a new RAV4.
Save on the last of the 2018s. Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
A lottery ticket is so much more than a piece of paper. It's wonder, opportunity, dreams. And not just for players. 100% of the profits from every Missouri lottery ticket you play goes back to schools, teachers, and students. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery.
It's lopped over the top for Takers. What an incredible strike from Kadeem Takers, and doubling St. Louis's lead.
Michael Cox lays it off. Hertzog with a chance. Lays it off for Michael Cox. His first goal. 4-1 St. Louis.
Still talk about him, right?
Welcome back to Toyota Stadium as we get things ready to roll here. St. Louis FC and Tulsa Roughnecks FC. Neil Rule, Ross Davenport back with you. But Ross, when you look at what the St. Louis FC team has done, they set a franchise mark with 4 consecutive wins. They had that heartbreaker against Fresno, but they're coming in hot right now.
Yeah, that game against Fresno, they were coming off a Wednesday night game. It looks a little tired in that one, but the strength of this team is up the middle.
Of course, these 2 teams met back on June 9th. St. Louis FC took away a 3-0 victory in that matchup. And look, if you're St. Louis FC, you know the situation with Tulsa. You've had success with them in the past. Again, this is a huge, we can't state this enough, a huge 3 points on the line for St. Louis.
Yep, there's Jerry Calistri scoring 2 goals there in the last matchup. He'll start as a right wing back tonight, but he loves to get forward, especially into that box, and create havoc.
It was a big night for Calistri. Had 2 goals against his former team. He's got 4 on the season, the second leading scorer for St. Louis FC. But Ross, you brought this up earlier when we were talking. You said, hey, Kyle Gregg's obviously been the guy for this team. They're looking for a secondary scorer. Calistri was, especially on that night.
Yeah, we'll see. He'll be flanked tonight by Albert Dequa and Kadeem Dakers on his birthday. See if those two can add to the goal tally.
Kadeem Dakers, the birthday boy. Michael Incian, the head coach, the interim head coach for Tulsa. And he's come in with this Tulsa team and really turned things around. 2-3-3 mark in their last 8.
Yeah, he's brought a couple of guys in since coming in. Jesus Ferreira, obviously the young 17-year-old on the right, and Michael Gamble back after missing a game through injury up top.
So we are just about ready to rock here in St. Louis, as we will get you the starting lineups in just a couple seconds. The whistle sounds, and we are underway in St. Louis. It's USL soccer action here on ESPN+. The starting lineups are brought to you by Schlafly Brewery. So Ross, as we take a look at these 11s that we have out here in front of us, Tomas Gomez getting the start at the keeper spot for St. Louis FC. Across the back, they're keeping things consistent with what they've done in the past.
Yeah, Reynolds, Kavita, and Fink are really the core of this team at the back. And then we talked about the strength up the spine. Lewis Hilton in the middle with Wallfall and Gregg up front. And Calistri and Culbertson are playing that sort of 3 at the back hybrid system. When they do have the ball, Culbertson and Calistri will get forward. When they don't, they'll drop back and help out on the defensive side of things.
St. Louis FC, as of late, has gotten off to some very quick starts, and we made mention of the fact in the open, Tulsa Roughnecks have not done that. Certainly on the road, as we take a look at their starting 11, starting at the keeper spot, number 12, Fabian Serta for Tulsa. But Ross, as you look at their 11, what do you see?
Yeah, Serta back in for a second straight start. He had a bit of an unfortunate incident earlier in the year when he gave away a really bad goal and was benched at halftime of that game, sat out the next one, but he's back here for the second straight game. You got Ivan Mirkovic and defense in midfield. And we talked about Gamble coming back up top, and here they go now.
And here comes on the attack into the left side. That was Sean Reynolds with the touch. Tulsa Roughnecks FC, as you see the record up there in the left corner, can be a little bit deceiving. And this is a team, through their struggles, they have never quit this year. They've been in a lot of their matches.
No, you and I talked about before the game, these guys are playing for contracts for next year, no matter whether it's with Tulsa or not. And they want to go out there and prove a point. They can still play spoiler at this point.
Ball popped up towards the D, settled down on the left side, and now that will trickle over the line, so a throw-in coming for St. Louis FC in those green kits with the blue shorts, as you see. Tulsa in the road whites with the orange trim. Very good-looking kit there for Tulsa. Long throw-in sent down, flicked on. The Roughnecks will retreat. Josh Morton, the defender, into that left corner, will turn and fire it back out, but a dangerous play is settled down by Lewis Hilton. Hilton taken down, and we have a developing situation here. It'll be a dangerous free kick coming up for St. Louis FC.
Yeah, Warfall is a good free kick taker for St. Louis. You'll probably like to get a strike on this one. Hilton can also strike them as well.
Lewis Hilton is the guy that is very dangerous as we take another look at the foul.
Yeah, a little dip in the back from Sylvania, and then got an extra trip on the way through as well. We talked about St. Louis scoring their early goals. This is a great chance here to get one.
We will see who will stand over it. Lewis Hilton has drawn a lot of this duty. Wall fall over there as well. Kyle Culbertson, the triumphant, standing over. Wall stepping back like he may be the guy. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm going to call Culbertson the decoy here, and Wall maybe try to strike one top right-hand corner.
Ball with 2 goals so far this season. Dangerous early spot for Tulsa in the 4th minute. Whistle sounds. Full with the right foot. Diving save made by the keeper, Serta. Fabian Serta closes the door.
Yeah, not the best of strikes there by Wall, but it was in an interesting position. Serta had to get down and ensure he got a solid contact on it and not turn it away. Yeah, actually a relatively routine save for Serta. Good height for him, but he had to get down. He's not the tallest keeper, so it's easier for him than most.
Remember, for every goal scored by St. Louis FC corner kick, Electro Savings will be donating $100 to a St. Louis charity. And first corner, better get that check ready. It's a goal for St. Louis FC.
Well, Wolfall didn't score on the free kick, but he'll take that one. And I noticed here on the replay, you'll see Tulsa covering. They like to do some training ground short free kicks, does this STLFC, and Tulsa left two guys there short, and that left them a man short in the middle, and Wolfall made them pay.
Serta denies Wolfall on the free kick, but cannot stop him on the doorstep. The St. Louligans, again, early goals for St. Louis FC. And Ross, this is a much easier game to play when you're ahead all the time.
No, especially in a situation like this where you need these wins for the playoff positions.
So early on, Tulsa Roughnecks in a very dangerous spot. Ati Tavares will bring it up. Now on the right side, it's played up. There is Paris G. But to be fair, that'll be a corner kick now coming up for Tulsa. And we saw this in their last matchup, a 3-2 loss at Real Monarchs. They fell down 2-0. They had no business getting back into that match, and they drew level.
No, we talked about this again before the game. You can't count out any teams in this league. And Tulsa, even when they go down, they got a bunch of young kids. They'll get out there and run around for 90 minutes. They'll look to put that ball in the back and then get themselves back in this game. Coach Shensian won't be too worried at this point, but we won't see an early goal go in. We talked to Poulos about why this team's scoring early goals, and he can't explain it, but he won't be worried about the reasoning behind it at this point.
50-50 ball. Jolie Calistri able to send it down. There is Kadeem Dakers, had the USL goal of the week for week 22. Speaking of goals, that man Kyle Gregg will give chase. And here is Paris G again. But Ross, early on, St. Louis FC, very aggressive.
Yeah, pushing high. I'm surprised in these temperatures they're pushing high this early at home. But we'll see how long they can keep it up. There's lots of space there for the St. Louis guys.
Especially in that valuable middle of the pitch. Here's Wolfall. He struck early. And when Ross says in these temperatures, he means about an hour ago, the real feel index was all of 104 degrees there in St. Louis. So when he says these temperatures, that's what he's referencing to. And this is a game, Ross, when you're in these types of matchups, you have to pick your spots when you're going to give that maximum effort and when you're going to fall back.
No, definitely, especially we talked about STLFC dealing with it, but Tulsa being on the road, it's not a particularly long road trip, but they'll have to be careful.
Paris G up that right sideline. Played in the first league in Croatia last year. Now getting his run here in America in the USL. And there's Wolfall again. We've said his name a lot so far. 7 minutes into this matchup. Fall 13 goals in 53 matches played for the Rochester Rhinos. So he is a very capable, very accomplished goal scorer. As Dakers, the birthday boy, gets up, but he's stepping lightly. Here's Isaac Diaz. G will play it back.
One thing I noticed for STLFC at the back, looks like Sam Fink's playing center back tonight more than Fanuel Kavita, who normally takes that up that spot. It's like Kavita at right back, Fink in the middle.
Sam Fink, the 24-year-old, played his college soccer for the powerhouse Wake Forest. Was one of 2 players in the USL to play every match during his time in 2015. And right now, here's a replay of the St. Louis FC goal delivered by Domino's. And of course, Wolfall.
Yeah, found himself wide open in the back there. Who was that caught looking? Vukovic got caught looking, ball watching, didn't see where ball was coming in behind him, and that was an easy finish for the German.
Restart on deck for Tulsa. As always, that goal delivered by Domino's. Vukovic to tee it up. Anticipate the left foot strike. Let's see. Vukovic curls it inside the box. Set up nicely. Shot deflected. As I believe Culbertson got a piece of that shot to send it away from the keeper Gomez.
Yeah, poorly struck free kick, but it wasn't dealt with correctly by Sinashi. A great flick on by Claudio Munoz. Have a corner here.
Only Tavares, dangerous from about 18 yards out. Whistle sounds. We will do the corner again, I have a feeling.
Yep, a little bit of argy-bargy in the box. Here's Tavares, who can play on the right and the left. Looks like he's on the right tonight.
Ross says argy-bargy, that's a technical term, right, for exactly what's going on?
In my home country.
Ross, what exactly is going on? Let the viewer in right now. What is going on inside that 6? They are jockeying for position.
Yeah, let's wait and see what happens on this corner here.
Corner served in, and it was played off the back line. And now popped up in the air and cleared by Reynolds. But the Roughnecks nearly equalize.
It might have been Lewis Hilton on that back post clearance. And here we go with STLFC going the other way.
Here comes Kadeem Dakers on the move. Dakers sees it go just over his foot. He makes a mad sprint, but unable to track it down. So a dangerous chance goes by the board for St. Louis FC.
Yeah, not every team these days puts players on the post, but that was a key one. It was key that they had one there. Yeah, Lewis Hilton off his head. That would have gone in if he wasn't there.
Lewis Hilton saving the day right now for St. Louis FC early on.
He's not the tallest of guys. That's usually why you put them there, but
he was just tall enough.
He was just tall enough. That's all you needed.
Here comes St. Louis FC with the possession taken away by Tulsa. Through the middle of the pitch again. Some room on that left side. Roughnecks going to work. Now it's taken away. Here comes Culbertson. High up the left. Or with the left foot, excuse me. Now on the right side. And shot sent over top of the bar. So not much coming out for St. Louis FC on that attack.
There's been some fun end-to-end stuff so far. Tulsa want to tighten things up, I think. You don't want to let these STL St. Louis guys have too much space, which they have had so far. That's poor there from Serda.
So St. Louis FC now will look to go to work one more time. Sean Reynolds sends it to Lewis Hilton. And again, they'll try that right side. There's the goal scorer wall fall. Good build up here, Calistri. Drop it back. And Ross, after the goal, the Tulsa Roughnecks came back, had very good possession. But over the course of the last 3 minutes, St. Louis FC has tilted the pitch once again.
No, I expect St. Louis to dominate possession in this game. Tulsa got interesting changes a little bit tonight. Michael Gamble looks like he's playing on the left wing with Jesus Ferrara up top on his own, which he has played. Gamble hasn't played much on the left wing. We'll see how that works out tonight. The 4-1-4-1 that they play. Merkovich defensive midfield, and then Tavares, Diaz, Sylvania, and then Gamble on the left. Ferreira up top on his own. The young 17-year-old, see what he can do with those young legs.
There's G, the target for that pass. G, 3 goals, 6 assists, leads the Roughnecks in the assist category. And there's a look again at the birthday boy, Kadeem Dakers. Was a 2014 MLS draft pick by the Chicago Fire. Sam Fink swings it to the right side.
Tons of space here for Warfel. If he wants to go backwards with that space, I'm sure Tony Pulis would like, Anthony Pulis would like to see him going forward with all that space in front of him rather than backwards.
That's a good point by you, partner. Tulsa really conceding a lot of space.
They're most dangerous on the counterattack, so I can see why they're doing it. But this St. Louis team, especially with the run they've been on of late, ignoring that last loss, can't give them this much time.
And it's been a good run for St. Louis FC. The 4th time in the last 5 games that they've scored a goal in the first 7 minutes. Like we talked about earlier, it's a much easier game when you're ahead to start. Here's a dangerous opportunity. Greg touches it through on the doorstep, slotted into the left side. Lewis Hilton with a goal. 2-0 St. Louis FC.
That was almost too easy. Tulsa were looking for the offside flag, and so was Lewis Hilton when he scored, but it wasn't up. St. Louis scores for St. Louis. 2-0, great early start for St. Louis. This is exactly what they want in this key game. They know they can't afford to drop points against teams at the bottom of the standings like Tulsa, and they're taking care of business here tonight. Nice touch there by Cutler, give and go to Greg, and Hilton just made that run, was hoping for the pass, and he got it, and Serta had no chance.
Fabian Serta, as you accurately put it, partner, really nothing he could do. It was on the doorstep. Slotted home by Hilton.
And that goal was all about movement off the ball. Greg gave it up, made the run, and then Hilton made the run looking for the pass from Greg, and he got it, slotted it home.
That was a replay of the goal by St. Louis FC, delivered by Domino's and Lewis Hilton. Well, partner, Tulsa Roughnecks FC in a position they have to tighten things up, or it could get late early.
No, they're in it deep here. St. Louis know that if it might come down to goal difference, especially if they continue to play as they have been and can get in contention for a home playoff game in the first round, you never know how much goal difference can make a difference, as they say. They'll be looking to keep putting these in here.
And as you see that graphic in the upper left-hand corner, if you're thinking about a Tulsa comeback, it's going to be a tough road to hoe, no question about it. They do not give up goals here in Toyota Stadium. St. Louis FC, very stingy is the word. Tracking it down is Josh Morton. Trying to build up through the middle. Ivan Mirkovic.
St. Louis do have a habit of occasionally sitting back on leads. They went up 2-0 against Sac Republic. I think they only had about 30% possession or so in the end because they sat back after getting those 2 early goals. We'll see what happens tonight against a very much lesser opponent. Tulsa, their man down here.
Players collide. Joey Kalistri involved as Nemanja Vukovic slow to get up. Vukovic last spent some time with the Indy 11 won the 2014 USL Pro Championship with the Sacramento Republic. The 34-year-old veteran
won a championship with them in 2014. He's been around the block.
Once you get in your 30s, you become a veteran, right? What's the official what's the official slat line, right? It's 30-year-old, right?
Then you're about 30. Yeah. If I remember correctly, I wouldn't tell you how old I am, but just about remember.
That ball touched over the sideline, so a throw-in coming for Tulsa. Ross, how does this change what Anthony Poulos might do from an attack perspective? You got Tulsa in the spot you want them. You don't give up goals here in your home stadium. Will this change anything right now?
I don't think just yet. I think you continue to push forward. As again, I said, this team can be dangerous. We've seen them come back a couple of times. In that Real Monarchs game, they were down 2-0 after 35 minutes, and Ferreira and Tavares scored twice before they fouled that late penalty. So don't count Tulsa out just yet, but Anthony Poulos will want these boys pushing forward and looking for that third goal.
In the middle, there's Isaac Diaz.
I say 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in football.
And I would agree with that. Because it's human nature, right? I mean, you've had your way through the first 17+ minutes of this match. You've gotten everything you wanted. It's human nature to let your foot off the gas pedal a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think Poulos will want to see that tonight. They'll be encouraging them to continue to press.
Michael Gamble on the left side. Also, though, holding some good possession, trying to build up. More pressure, though, from St. Louis FC.
I was about to say that this is their first sort of bit of decent possession, and then they give it away under pressure.
Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit www.selectsportamerica.com. You can receive free shipping on orders over $50. I know Ross Davenport is a big free shipping guy, right?
I am. As a goalkeeper, I've saved a few Select balls in my life, and I've picked a few balls out the net.
Well, if you buy $50 worth of them on the website, you get them shipped for free, Ross. You won't have to pick them out of the net. They'll come right to your house.
And then my son will just kick them in the woods and I'll have to go find them.
Here comes St. Louis FC. There's Kyle Gregg. Gregg turning, wins a corner. But you see the respect the Tulsa Roughnecks FC defensive back line gives to Kyle Gregg.
No, he's got space. I mean, he's got speed, quickness, and he's a sniper from anywhere in the box. He can score from inside or outside. We talked about that before the game.
And they will actually give the goal kick instead.
10 goals on the season. The next most for St. Louis is 4 coming into this one. Yeah, ended up being a goal kick. Kyle Gregg wasn't impressed and gave the linesman a bit of a stare.
To the naked eye, I would agree with him, but those guys Those officials, man, they have maybe the toughest job in sports. There's Joey Calistri sending it back. The referee here tonight, John Freeman. The assistant referees, Matthew Seam and Joseph Mach. And the fourth official, Julio Tinoco. Don't envy those guys' jobs, man. It's like the offensive linemen in football, right? They only notice you when you make a mistake.
They're professionals, though.
They are. And that speaks to the success of the USL League, Ross, in that it's not just players on the field, it's not just fans in the stands, it's a total product with the USL, and the referees certainly no different.
No, the officiating has definitely improved over the years of this league.
So Tulsa, as you said, holding some possession. They'll try the left side again. In the 20th minute, it's been all St. Louis so far. Neil Rule, Ross Davenport with you. Happy to have you along. We're going to be watching USL soccer tonight. We've given you the stakes. St. Louis FC have climbed their way back into playoff contention. As a matter of fact, they are sitting in that 7th spot.
One thing they won't want to keep doing is giving that ball away to Lewis Hilton. Even in St. Louis's own half, he can turn around and ping balls all over the place and create chances from nothing.
St. Louis FC defenders having a kickabout right now. But the numbers for St. Louis FC are really startling, and we talked about the fact they set the franchise record with 4 consecutive wins. And it's no coincidence this has been their highest scoring month of the season with still time to go.
Yeah, they know they're going to have to keep scoring with 5 of the next 7 games on the road. Again, they've got tough ones at Real Monarchs, against Swope, and then obviously against Phoenix. They do have 3 of their last 4 at home, though, but they'll love to have sewn up a playoff spot by that point, not have to worry about it.
Kadeem Dakers the target. Dakers does a nice job to recover and retain possession. Trying to find Calistri. Throwing coming up for St. Louis. And Kavita will toss it in. Kavita started all 81 matches during his college career at Clemson. He won the ACC Tournament Championship back in 2014, which, Ross, you know, that's certainly an accomplishment. You win the ACC, you've done some work.
No, for sure. He's a quality defender.
Here comes Dakers. Spins. Sends it back. Chipped across by Culbertson inside the box. And once again, Serta has to be active off his line. Fabian Serta, the native of Chile. 42 matches played for Transandina in the Chilean 2nd division. Had 9 clean sheets last year. Does have 3 clean sheets this year as well. And the Roughnecks trying to build it up on the left side. Fabian Serta certainly has been busy, also leading the USL in saves this season.
Not always a good stat to lead in, though. Means you've been busy.
Absolutely.
But it means you've also been busy picking it out of the net. Looking at the stats so far, St. Louis with a big chunk of the duel success, almost 2/3. Possession 55% to Tulsa, 45 to St. Louis. They've been coming back here, Tulsa, trying to get back into this game after this rough start. Just need to settle down. As we spoke about their last game, they were down 2-0 after 35 minutes and came all the way back, and were really hard done by in that loss.
And that was against Real Monarchs as well. That wasn't just against anyone. So they certainly have that ability. It's Tomas Gomez up off his line. And there is Fabian Serta. And you're getting a look at just how warm it is. Daytime temperatures in the mid-90s, real feel in the mid-100s. It's mixing it up down there in the right corner of your screen. Sean Reynolds getting in a bit of a scrape with Jesus Ferreira.
He's not even of age. Leave the boy alone.
Jesus Ferreira, all of 17 years old. Made his debut for FC Dallas and scored in his first match against Real Salt Lake. He's under that homegrown contract with FC Dallas right now. Scored a goal against Real Monarchs last week as well. Did Ferreira. 24th minute. 2-0 St. Louis FC. They got off on the good foot. Now, Ross, the match beginning to take shape a little bit.
Yeah, it's come a little let loose here, but that was a loose pass there. This is a chance here for Tulsa.
And here's Tavares. Inside the 18, working one-on-one. Drops it back, right foot shot. Cleared out. Isaac Diaz giving it a go. Boy, how about that effort by Gomez to not concede the corner.
And Tavares scored a goal in that last match against Real Madrid. I thought he might have taken a crack at things there, but decided to dish it out.
Here come the Roughnecks building it up again. You really have. You just saw the shot. Michael Incian. You have to give this Tulsa Roughnecks FC squad a lot of credit, Ross, through the struggles this year and everything that's happened. We talked about the fact falling behind 2-0 last week to Real Monarchs. They've had every excuse in the world to just pack it in, and they just keep coming back. And we're seeing it again already here tonight.
Yeah, they're never a team to count out. As I said, these teams are playing for contracts, whether it's with Tulsa or somebody else. I mean, these players are playing for contracts, whether it's with Tulsa or somebody else next season. You've got some guys on loan from MLS teams who want to be impressing their home club. Every minute you get on an actual field, especially on a televised game where anybody can watch, is key. You want to impress.
That ball will just trickle over the line, so the throw in coming one more time for St. Louis FC. Kyle Culbertson tosses it in. Culbertson has that look. That's a guy you don't want to scrape with, Ross.
Well, something he did before the game. The other left back also has a bald head. Must be a thing. We'll see if we get to see Mr. Polak tonight. Tyler Polak, a new addition on the left side of things from Miami FC 2. Played last game out on the left side, their left wing back position. Loves to get forward just like Culbertson.
Polak certainly a very talented 26-year-old, was a Generation Adidas member early on in his career. Dakers with the cross played out. And there's nearly a giveaway, and Dakers almost able to make Tulsa pay. But Ross, it's interesting to see. You just don't see the numbers in the box from St. Louis FC that you saw maybe 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, and that's one thing they struggle with this year is getting guys into the scoring positions. Again, they're great on the counter attack, and they'll take a gift if you want to give it to them. But not much. They averaged a goal a game this season coming into this one. They have been better late, as I said, with 2+ goals in 4 of the last 6. So again, we talked about it before. Don't count them out just yet.
The USL's official Twitter feed keeps you up to date with news, live game updates, and highlights from around the league 24/7. Follow @USL on Twitter.
Well, as they brought guys in, and it's going to take a little time for these guys to gel. The lineup is starting to get a little more consistent since Etienne took over. But there's not much time left in this season. Again, the season's beyond reach for them. They can play plenty of spoiler down the road.
And you'll see that from time to time with squads. They'll almost get fuel from that spoiler role where you're coming down the stretch and you say, as you talked about, hey, the book's been written for us, but we can certainly change the narrative for a lot of other teams that can rally a squad.
Yeah, if your season's already ruined, it feels nice to ruin somebody else's season.
As Tavares taken down to the turf. Quick restart for Tulsa.
Not sure what that was. He was trying to catch Gomez off his line.
As Anthony Poulos took Orlando City B to the playoffs in the team's first year in the USL. Spent time with Stoke City and Southampton. Their assistant coaches are Max Rogers and Tim Leonard. Their goalkeepers coach, Brian Jones. Make sure you stick around at halftime. We have an interesting feature with Brian Jones. Speaking of the keepers, those guys are always different birds, so to say.
Yeah, Anthony Poulos, son of legendary English coach Tony Poulos, who's new this season with Middlesbrough, had a great win on Friday against West Brom and are in the top 3 of the championship in England. Here we go with Tulsa coming back the other way.
It's a 3-on-3, working wide to the right. That's Tavares. Tavares' cross popped up into the air.
Yeah, it was a little aimless. He wasn't really looking for anybody. Yeah, Diaz coming towards him and could put it behind him.
Paris G tosses it in and gets it back. Isaac Diaz has probably been Tulsa's most dangerous player offensively so far. Good give and go. That cross is curled. It's loose off the post.
Oh dear.
And put into the back of the net. It's a goal for Tulsa. And just like that, they're right back into it. Jesus Ferreira.
Tomas Gomez will want that one back. I think he had to come for it, but when you don't get possession of it and let it loose like that, there's always a chance that somebody's there to pick it up and knock it in, and that's exactly what happens. Gomez, let's take another look at this one. He should have made claim to that one. 17-year-old, take that all day. Thank you very much. Gomez was benched back in June. Yeah, he actually was benched for almost all of their 4-game winning streak. He let in a couple of weak goals against OC, and Anthony Poulos won't want to see that again tonight. Especially the way we talked about this team, they can come back. You can't make mistakes inside your own 6-yard box, especially.
So here we go again. Tulsa Roughnecks FC trying to fight their way back into the match. And they have done just that.
Yeah, one thing with this turf, those low crosses will skip off. When you're playing grass one week, turf the next. The speed of that ball coming off that turf can deceive you. That seems to what happened there with Gomez. Just couldn't claim that ball. If you're going to come for it, you got to get it.
Soccer can be a game of punching and counter-punching, and St. Louis FC delivered 2 heavy blows early on. The Tulsa Roughnecks have delivered a blow of their own. Now it'll be interesting to see how St. Louis FC counters.
Yeah, this has been a fun one for the neutrals so far. 3 early goals. That's all you can ask for if you're tuning in a fan of neither team.
There's Kyle Culbertson one more time. Played 36 matches in 2 years with Puerto Rico FC back in 2016 and 17. St. Louis FC now, after that Tulsa goal, turning the tables a little bit, now holding some possession of their own.
It's a good turn there.
Kadeem Dakers one more time to Greg. And the foul will be called. They get Claudio Munoz with it. I believe they did, and that is the case. So Munoz, the veteran, played in 2 matches for the Chilean national team back in 2006, guilty of the foul.
And Greg might have taken one on the face here, I think. Oh yeah, the elbow to the face. Elbow came swinging out.
Right there in the neck.
Munoz is frustrated. He did well with the body, but once you raise those elbows, the refs are looking for that. Easy call.
That was a shot to the neck that Ric Flair would be proud of. So on the restart, here comes Kyle Culbertson standing over it. The melee begins right at the top of the 18. Culbertson curls it.
Not the best of free kicks. You probably would like that one a little closer to the penalty spot.
See if Tulsa gets on the good foot here with the counter. Culbertson closes the door. Boy, nice anticipation by Culbertson.
That's a nice ball too.
That was high level.
That wasn't so nice.
So Culbertson jumping up into the play from that defensive spot. Defenders don't like that, do they? When they run all the way up the field, especially when it's 94 degrees, they jump into the play and then it's given away. That gets them upset, doesn't it?
Especially by your center forward. Here they go again. Greg with some space here.
Calistri will retreat. Ball fall. Got the fireworks started here early tonight. 3 goals in the first third of the game. It's been a fun one so far. St. Louis, some of their matches have not been a goal enthusiast's treat, but tonight the tables have been turned a little bit in that respect. St. Louis doesn't really get involved in a lot of these quote-unquote track meets, but we have one here tonight.
Yeah, in the 16 games since Valesky left, 24 goals, goal and a half a game. They've had 10 games with 2 or more goals. They've been scoring a lot more since Christian Valesky left the team.
St. Louis FC with some delayed pressure of the ball.
Careful.
And not a good ball sent in and sent over top of the bar. Kadeem Dakers almost made Tulsa pay one more time.
Yeah, as a defender, you never want to see that ball play back into the middle on the edge of your own box. And Dakers, yeah, almost made Tulsa pay for that silly mistake.
Throw-in coming now for Tulsa. Now it's dropped back. St. Louis FC conceding some space as Tulsa tries to build the attack.
It's Kadeem Daker's birthday, as you said, and it was almost a great birthday present there. Put her out on a plate for him. You don't get those chances too often. Let's take another look at it. Oh, left foot had a great chance, just couldn't keep it down, and he knows that was a superb option.
Boy, not to be missed.
Yeah.
The veteran play, though, by Claudio Munoz to just get a piece of them, enough to where you alter the shot, but not enough to where you get called for the penalty.
Yep, did what he had to do.
Tulsa, after falling behind 2-0, fights back with a goal, trying to tie this thing up. And you look at the record, and this stat will shock you. They've had 13 game-tying goals this season. If they get one here tonight, that is an incredible number. And again, it just speaks to it. I know we're kind of beating this into the ground here, Ross, but I have a lot of admiration for what they've done this year.
No, it gives you that confidence that even if you do go down like you did in this one, you can come back. It's in that team collective. They know they're never out of it.
Culbertson, long target, settled down nicely. Albert Dequa. But then Dequa unable to follow up and connect on the pass. Michael Gamble up through the middle. Some good two-man build-up, but then taken away by St. Louis.
Yep, Fanil Kavita using his physicality there. He's a big boy.
6'1", almost 200 pounds.
I wouldn't want to mess with him.
No, you want that stout build for the defenders. Fans, make sure to visit one of the 7 local St. Louis area Toyota dealers. Neil Rule, Ross Davenport, live from Toyota Stadium. Happy to have you with us. USL Soccer on a Saturday night right here on ESPN Plus. Appreciate you carving out some time. We've had a good one here tonight so far in the 37th minute. St. Louis FC got off to the good start. Wall Fall struck. Short time after that, Lewis Hilton made it 2-0. Jesus Ferreira came back for Tulsa, and that's the number you see in the upper left-hand corner of your screen.
St. Louis are finding it a little harder to get through this Tulsa midfield at the moment. This little 4-1-4-1 formation. It's an interesting one. Like to pack it in the center there. Free kick. Even the refs having a sweaty time of it. They do a lot more running than you actually think they do.
Absolutely. Afternoon highs in the St. Louis area reached into the mid-90s. Real feel indexes were 103, 104.
We shouldn't have to worry about too many weather issues like we did the last time these two tried to play here.
Wall Fall touches it towards the right. St. Louis FC with some good possession.
A lot of backwards passing, though. They're not finding that decisive one through the middle like they were early. See if the Luligans can get them going there in the back. Those are some sweet lighted drums.
Big fan of the LED lighting on the drums up there in the upper right-hand corner of your screen.
If you can't hear them, you can see them.
How do they power those? Are those solar powered? Do they have a couple of those old school? You remember the old school D batteries, Ross, that weighed about 6 pounds each?
It's possible. It's good work there from Fall.
Wall Fall just took that possession away on the 50-50 ball. It was anything but 50-50 according to Wall Fall. Kadeem Dakers makes a move. Dakers just wide of the left post.
Looking inspired on his birthday, likes to cut back inside. That was a good snapshot.
The initial move set it all up for Kadeem Dakers. He just absolutely undressed his defender. There's the aforementioned St. Luligans. And there is the LED powered drums. Strong to quite strong on the effort.
Always out. Maybe they're actually powered by beating them.
It's a kinetic energy type of thing.
Yes, you must keep beating the drums, otherwise the lights will go out.
And I don't, when I say kinetic energy, I'm just totally guessing. I don't know. I was a journalism major, Ross. I have no idea what kinetic energy means.
Me too. I'm not an engineer by any means.
Back through the middle, played away by St. Louis. Again, though, they're finding some type of connection up here on that left side, although that time Kyle Gregg was disappointed to come away without the possession.
Things have slowed down here a little bit in the last 5 to 10 minutes.
Which at some point, I mean, you couldn't realistically expect that pace to keep up in these types of conditions.
Well, that's nice work again from Fulton.
Here we go again. Baker stepping through, was taken down, wanted the call. Official says play on.
That was great defensive work, pushing back there.
Right side.
It was Ferreira coming all the way back from his advanced position.
Also reverses field. Markovich did a nice job sending that up top towards the left. Markovich will get it back. Sent out wide. Tavares again. The cross. Nobody on the other side for Tulsa. So Ross, put your official's jersey on. What do you think?
Shoulder to shoulder there from Ferreira and got his foot stuck in. That was perfect form, especially for a striker coming back to help out his teammates. That was nice.
And there's a look. Well, you talked about it. Fanuel Kavita, a big man. He is assembled, as I like to say.
Yeah, no, a key part of these three at the back, which I don't think Anthony Pulis will be wanting to change until their season is over. That's where their real strength is, those three. So as I said, he's changing things up a little bit tonight with moving Kavita to that right back spot.
The ball found its way through to Ferreira. He couldn't do what he wanted to with it. Wall fall. Wants some movement. He reverses the field onto the right side. Back towards the middle. Lewis Hilton had a go. Now it's curled in towards the back post. A dangerous opportunity at the end there for St. Louis FC. Just couldn't quite finish it off.
It was Dakers. I don't think he realized how much time he had. He could have almost brought that down and taken a shot himself. Instead, tried to be unselfish, and it didn't work.
Targeted that pass for Albert Dequa. Dequa was named to the USL Top 20 Under-20 list last year. The Orlando City B has 2 goals this year. He'd have been able to get on the end. Would have made a bid for 3.
Nice ball. Almost a great touch, well played by Culbertson.
That was good soccer on both ends.
Yeah,
both on the
tried to knock
pass.
it around it, but Culbertson saw it coming and just got in the way.
Ross, Kyle Culbertson has been strong to quite strong here tonight for St. Louis FC.
And he's been involved on both ends for sure.
That ball headed back to Serta.
Going to make it difficult for Tyler Pollock to get back in the lineup if he keeps playing like this.
And stepping through, here comes Tulsa on the attack. On the left side. Has some numbers.
Oh, he should have looked right a little earlier.
Tavares' shot is blocked. Boy, you're absolutely right. Ferreira had more space, I thought, than he might have known.
Yeah, if he just looked right a little sooner, Tavares was wide open. Just that extra couple of touches. Here it is again. Good work there. Sort of half looked up, but then allowed Culbertson to get back in the mix. As Culbertson was out of position. Got help from Reynolds over there.
So corner kick now coming up for Tulsa. And through all this, through the start, through falling behind 2-0, right here on this corner, 1 play away from leveling this match.
Yeah, it'll be a timely goal here right before the half. St. Louis defending the corners very similarly, stopping that short pass.
Diaz sends it in. It's popped out. Tulsa will maintain the possession.
I'm not sure if he was looking for the front post flick there, but it wasn't the right kick. This could be dangerous, though.
Headed on, and Gomez will make the grab. Don't anticipate a lot of stoppage time. It's been a very free-flowing game.
Yeah, we've had the 3 goals, so probably a couple minutes. Gomez slowing it down here. He wants to get to that half without conceding another one.
Tomas Gomez won 2 USL Gold Glove awards during his career. The low goals against average in the USL. A lot of quality time with the Rochester Rhinos. Was a 3rd round MLS draft pick of the Columbus Crew.
You won't want to see a replay of that goal he let in earlier, unfortunately. He's better than that as a goalkeeper, but has had his moments this season of questionable goalkeeping.
Gomez will trot over and settle it down.
I do like how his gloves match his boots, though.
Ross, where do you fall out on the whole fashion battle that is keepers in today's soccer? You know, the fuchsia. Are they saying the ball went over the line?
I'm not sure what happened here. Did maybe bring it back into the box? Was it a back pass, perhaps? I think that's probably the call. I'm not sure what happened here.
We will have 1 minute of stoppage time.
Definitely an indirect free kick. Definitely picked it up, but the whistle blew quite a long way after he picked it up. Maybe that's what it was. It must have been a back pass. He brought it back into the box and picked it up. Very dangerous spot here.
There you have it. This could be the angle Tulsa's looking for. Just 1 minute of stoppage time. So this is a prime opportunity, folks.
Yeah, indirect free kick here. That's why you've got 5 in the wall in case for the touch and strike.
Players available up top. Keep an eye on Murkovic at the top of the D. He has some space. He goes short. Diaz finds Murkovic. Murkovic right foot. St. Louis FC converges.
Yeah, he didn't have time for that extra touch. He should have struck it first time like that.
And the volley sent over top of the frame.
The idea was right, but the finish wasn't correct. That might be enough to get us to the half, I think.
Tulsa very dangerous here to finish out the final few moments of the first half.
Yeah, it was the back pass and then... Yeah, it's a great call by the ref. Can't be doing that, unfortunately. Yeah. That was all it took. Luckily, nothing came of it. Gomez got away with it, and that's the half.
The first half has come to a close. Lots of fireworks here in St. Louis. 2-1. I think it's fair to say they escape towards the end of that first half, Ross.
No, for sure.
St. Louis FC coming out strong with a 2-0 lead. Tulsa strikes back, cuts the halftime deficit to 2-1. And that is where we stand through 45 minutes of play. Just the 5th goal allowed by St. Louis FC at Toyota Stadium, which is incredible if you think about it, but Tulsa's got one. They're going to be looking for another one in the second 45 minutes of play. And that will take us to the halftime, brought to you by Hollywood Casino. Make sure you stick around. We got a neat feature on the goalkeepers. They're different birds. Brian Jones let us tag along. We'll check that out. Coming up next, 2-1 St. Louis FC with the lead. We're at the half. This is USL Soccer.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino, St. Louis.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to the electricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce. Your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Here come the last of our 2018s.
Toyota's national clearance event is the best part of summer.
And with super low APR financing and great lease deals, it won't last long.
Oh, I'm so excited.
You are not alone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah! Yes!
But my job.
Get $2,500 customer cash on a new 2018 RAV4. Or get 0% APR for 48 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on a new RAV4.
Save on the last of the 2018s. Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Oh, it's locked over the top for Takers. What an incredible strike from Kadeem Takers and doubling St. Louis's lead.
Michael Cox lays it off. Herzog with a chance. Lays it off for Michael Cox. His first goal. 4-1 St. Louis.
Welcome back to halftime, brought to you by Hollywood Casino. You know, the role of a goalkeeper is vastly different than that of a field player. It takes a certain mentality to play the position. It's often said that goalkeepers are a different breed. Some others would say, these guys are crazy. Brian Jones coaches the St. Louis FC goalkeepers, and he let us tag along for a recent training session. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Brian Jones, goalkeeper coach, St. Louis FC. Yep. Go, yep. The position's so different than every other position on the field. Yep. 3. Yep. Oh, yeah. Highly technical. Good weight on the touch. So they've got to have specialized training that's keeping those techniques sharp. That's making sure that the technical process is being adhered to and all the different core skill sets. Good. What we do is goes against human instinct, right? To throw your body around through the air and to have balls kicked at you at high rates of speed from sometimes close distances. It goes against what, you know, you want to pull away from it. It's not natural. And so when you watch the way we train, based on the things that are required during the course of a game or a training session, it's interesting. That's right, you're okay. We have a full 25 sessions that we go through. We try to work on the core skill sets every single day, but you've got to do it in different ways so it never becomes tedious from a mental standpoint for the player. One more. Yep, up. Rest, good. There's not one particular mentality for a goalkeeper, but they all seem to be a little bit off kilter. Jake reads like a book every 2 days, and he's got a weird sleep cycle that gets him up at 4:20 in the morning, and you know, stuff like that. Tomas, you know, he's just a different breed, a little bit mentality in terms of kind of how he sees things and approaches things. You've got personalities that tend to be very intense, very aggressive by nature a lot of times. If you line them all up, field players and goalkeepers, they're going to have a bit of a different, you know, different vibe to them, a different mentality, a different outlook on life. Yep, good, back up, yep, good. If you're going to be great, you got to be willing to go further than everybody else, and that's just how much suffering can you absorb. 4, 2 more, come on, yep, good, up, yep, rest, good. Time to work, playtime's over.
Those keepers are different cats, no question about it. Up next for St. Louis FC, they're headed out to the Pacific Northwest. And Ross, the heavy lifting has been done to get St. Louis FC back in the playoff picture. But now comes the hard part. You have to stay there, and it's a tough, long road trip coming up.
Yep, definitely not a short one. The Sounders towards the bottom of the Western Conference standings. But they have won 2 of the last 4 games. One of those 4 games, though, was a 2-0 loss at St. Louis on August 4th. Goals there by Austin Ledbetter and Kyle Gregg. The Sounders are no pushovers, though, especially at home.
And let's take a look at the upcoming matches for St. Louis FC. And we just mentioned the Seattle Sounders and Portland Timbers, 2 matchups that they have coming up. But you look down the list there at Real Monarchs SLC, that's no picnic.
No, Timbers are also very useful. And yeah, Real Monarchs, Sweat Park Rangers, 2 of the toughest places to play in the USL.
Let's take a look at the best from Week 23 of the USL.
was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I'ma keep on climbing, I ain't gonna stop. I was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I was born from the bottom, but raised to the top. I'ma keep on climbing, I ain't gonna stop.
Thomasina Molson looking for number 14. There it is.
Cross comes in towards the back post, and Foster Langsdorff has his 11th goal this season.
The corner of the 18, cross comes in, and a goal for Foster Langsdorff. It's his second of the evening.
Into the box, a strike, and a goal. Christian Valesky. Guess who? Again, Valesky with his second. Slides it across, Michael Seaton. Seaton in on goal, Michael Seaton, he's at the brace.
Ledesma right at the edge of the 18, takes a shot, and Manu Ledesma does it again!
Now Spees gives it a go, and Spees finds the back of the net! Game of one-upsmanship from the Indy 11 this season.
Rebound comes out though, and it's stuck right back in. And guess who? Solomon Asante. Chance now for St. Louis! Long overdue goal for Corey Herzog. Here's Carl Howarth, and the shot, and it is 1-0 Ottawa Fury FC.
Brissett Lestain to strike. It hits the frame of the goal and goes in. Laid off to the path to Barry. He's onside, and he fires it home.
It'll be Gordon to strike with his right boot, hits it, and puts it in the back of the net.
To Velasquez. He'll take a crack through distance, and a goal. Chandler Hoffman redirects it for the goal. Here's another opportunity. Dixon shot and a score.
Back to Corbin Bone. Bone inside of the 18. Buries it in the back of the net.
So Belmar. Now into the area across to Belmar. Losing his defender, Belmar. Surely Blackwood gets the goal.
Great save by Kendall McIntosh.
Shot getting a piece of it. What a save.
A great stop by Dykstra.
Oh, what a save by Vaughn Williams.
Cardoni with an impressive save.
A brilliant save.
Enriquez does it again. Great save for Stefano. Oh!
I'm sure we'll continue to see a lot of shots finding the back of the net in that matchup as we check out the USL Game of the Week schedule. And Ross, as we go down this list, some very impressive matchups. Real Monarchs SLC against St. Louis FC. That's going to be one to watch.
Yep, the last home loss for the St. Louis FC came at home to Real Monarchs. And the fans will also be paying attention to that top game. San Antonio sitting just behind St. Louis FC in the Western Conference standings against the struggling RGV.
And now we will also take a look at the upcoming schedule for the notable matchups in the Western Conference. And Ross, all these teams right now really battling for the same ground.
Yep, Reno up top there, just ahead of St. Louis in the standings. Again, there's San Antonio as well, and then obviously at the bottom there, St. Louis off to against Seattle.
Be a lot of fun late nights coming up in the Western Conference, no doubt about it. Let's check out the USL news and notes. And Ross, the Rhinos are back.
It's great to see. Yeah, it was sad when we lost them last year, but great to see them back in USL in a couple of years.
USL also will eclipse the 2 million fans mark this weekend. Clubs averaging more than 5,000 per match in the match we have here tonight. St. Louis FC, the St. Louligans, a big reason why. Unprecedented success in terms of fans coming through the turnstiles.
No, it's great to see as many fans as we have in the stands this year.
Paperwork filed with the USSF League to consist of at least 10 clubs for 2019 as well. So the D3 status getting firmed up also. And make sure you stick around. We have highlights and stats from the first half at Toyota Stadium. All that and more coming up. We'll be right back.
The best things in life
everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino St. Louis.
Here come the last of our 2018s.
Toyota's national clearance event is the best part of summer.
And with super low APR financing and great lease deals, it won't last long.
Oh, I'm so excited.
You are not alone.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah! Yes!
But my job.
Get $2,500 customer cash on a new 2018 RAV4. Or get 0% APR for 48 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on a new RAV4.
Save on the last of the 2018s. Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
A lottery ticket is so much more than a piece of paper. It's wonder, opportunity, dreams. And not just for players. 100% of the profits from every Missouri lottery ticket you play goes back to schools, teachers, and students. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery.
Oh, it's locked over the top for takers. What an incredible strike from Kadeem Takers and doubling St. Louis's lead.
Michael Cox plays it off.
Welcome back to St. Louis. St. Louis FC with a 2-1 lead over Tulsa Roughnecks FC. And let's take a look at how the scoreline came to be the first 45 minutes. And Ross, there was action early and there was action often.
It was. Here's the corner. Here's the goal from Warfall after he missed the free kick. Nice finish. Can't leave that guy space open in the box like that.
St. Louis FC continued to be dangerous. And they would get another, this time, easy goal scored with the left foot by Lewis Hilton. And it looked like the horses were getting out of the barn, Ross. They were up 2-0.
Well, if you watch the angle from the wide angle on this one in a second, watch where Lewis Hilton starts this run. He starts it from 20 yards back, keeps running, waiting for that pass, and there it comes. You'll see it in a second. Oh, no, there's a mistake. We won't see it. There's a mistake from Gomez, which led to the Tulsa goal.
Tomas Gomez with the misplay. And that ball was tapped home by Jesus Ferreira. And that leads us to this. The numbers and the particulars for the first 45 minutes of play. And Ross, really the number that jumps off the page at me, that possession line. Tulsa Roughnecks on the road in a place where they haven't had any success to speak of, with the 52% edge in possession.
Yeah, they've just got to do a little more with it. Joaquin Rivas, their top scorer, is out injured again, so he's not an option off the bench. Jonathan Levin's hurt. You've got John Perez, the Uruguayan, on the bench. They just don't have many scoring options available at the moment. They'll need obviously one more here in order to get that point.
Steamy evening in St. Louis. And we'll see what the story is as far as substitutions happen. We are just about ready to go for the second 45 minutes of play. A huge 3 points hanging in the balance for St. Louis FC, as they currently occupy the 7th spot in the Western Conference playoff race. San Antonio FC just a point behind in the 8th spot. Swope Park Rangers with 34 points as well. Just a very congested race for that last spot. And we are underway. St. Louis FC in those green kits with the blue shorts have the possession, moving, of course, from our left to right. Tulsa in the whites with the orange trim.
Don't see any immediate changes. One person we were talking about at halftime, we didn't hear much from that first half, is Michael Gamble on the left for Tulsa. He needs to get more involved, maybe pinch in a little bit, get back to his natural center forward position.
Michael Gamble, 2 goals this year. He's a second-round pick of the New England Revolution back in the 2016 MLS draft, 24 years of age.
Oh, there he is.
And ask and you shall receive, Ross. And Gamble, with some good work, earns the foul call.
That's the best we've seen of him so far.
That's like the opposite of the broadcaster's jinx, right? We called it and then it happened.
Hey, sometimes it works.
60% of the time, it works every time.
Tulsa does have Alejandro Covarrubias on the bench, who started the last 2 games. But other than that, not much offensive options.
And here on that right side again, Tavares has been a factor on a couple of occasions, just unable to get that final touch to his liking. So goal kick coming up for the keeper.
And we did talk about St. Louis sitting back. It's probably indicative of that possession, those possession stats we saw at halftime. See if they push forward a little more early on here in the second when they've got a bit more wind in their sails.
Trickles over the far sideline. Anthony Poulos knows what's on the line. Even though he doesn't like to talk about it, doesn't like to mention what's ahead. Just focused on tonight's match.
We may have to look to the bench for options tonight. We've got Tyler Polak, the left back. We've got Austin Marks coming back off injury.
Corey Herzog's out there.
We've got Walls and Jepson and Cox, the new addition. Plenty of options out there for St. Louis if Anthony Poulos decides to use them.
Audie Jepson, of course, the former Green Bay Phoenix standout. Was Horizon League Offensive Player of the Year last year. Had the opportunity to call some of his matches in college.
It's really the only German car you could name your son after.
Now St. Louis FC looking to put some stuff together. Boy, the next goal in this match, Ross, so large. Who will get it? Build up lax at the end for St. Louis. Dequa sends it out wide. Great defensive play, but the corner is conceded. And we've talked about the congestion in the Western Conference chase for those final couple of playoff spots. There is no room for error for anybody as you take a look at that graphic.
No, those numbers there are exactly why St. Louis can't afford to lose this game. They've got a superior goal difference over the two teams below them, but that's not going to do them any good if they get behind them on points. They're only 1 point ahead.
This is another Electro Savings corner kick. Served up, punched out. Keeper Serta. Good punch, but St. Louis FC will continue to hold it. Wall fall. Can he keep it? No, he can't. And he kicks the Froyo sign.
And one interesting thing here is that St. Louis might be up 2-1, but the pressure is really on them right now. They're at home against the bottom team in the Western Conference. They scored 2 early goals and haven't done much since. They know one more goal for Tulsa and they're in trouble.
Vukovic sent to the turf.
Especially depending on what happens behind them tonight in the later games. Referee having a word with the tall German.
Pass sent out wide to the right. St. Louis FC, though, very aggressive in their markings.
You see the press has stopped here. It's more of a half court press in basketball. They're not pressing up top high anymore.
And that was something we saw first 5 minutes of this match. They were all over. But again, Ross, I think it speaks to the conditions, right? I mean, you just can't continue to do that given the heat and the humidity.
It's a good ball there.
Stepping through, Albert Dequa. Dequa! Cross is deflected out, but another corner coming up.
Dequa was sort of caught in 2 minds there. He was almost going to take a shot and then decided to cross it at the last second, but he got something out of it. St. Louis subs warming up there in the corner, including Corey Herzog with his bleach blonde hair.
This will be another Electro Savings corner kick. So the Electro Savings corner kicks beginning to pile up here in the beginning of the second half for St. Louis FC. Corner serve towards the back post. Serta makes the grab with little difficulty.
That's a great kick by Serta. Good defense by Reynolds.
Now it's taken away. Ati Tavares had a goal versus Real Monarchs last week. That was his first of the season. Paris G will throw it in. 52nd minute, 2-1, St. Louis FC with the lead. My name is Neil Rule, my broadcast partner Ross Davenport. Having a good time here tonight. Taking you through this one. USL soccer action. We're coming down the stretch of the USL season. We've been going at it since March. Everything's beginning to take shape. Tulsa's attack here trying to take shape as well.
Yep, 10 games remaining, 30 points on offer. St. Louis, you think, would probably need 15 to 18 to secure a playoff spot. But they'll definitely still want to give it a run for a home playoff game, for a home quarterfinal, I say. Excuse me.
Vukovic loses out. Kavita will toss it in. Ross, now we're seeing Tulsa a bit more aggressive in their pressure.
Yeah, with that 4-1-4-1, you can afford to do it. With that defensive midfielder in there to give you extra cover should you turn the ball over high up the field.
Here's Dakers. Sends it towards the back post, headed away. Well, Albert Dequa and Kadeem Dakers, over the course of the last few moments, have had some good possession. You get the feeling they may do something before this evening's through.
Yeah, they just need to create some more quality chances. It's all been a little loose in the last half hour for St. Louis. We saw how they scored that goal with Lewis Hilton through the middle. They haven't tried that much since then. I feel it might come down to a mistake. The next goal from somewhere.
Another Electro Savings corner kick. Lewis Hilton is in the area. Now he'll roll out. Curled in. This one's loose on the doorstep. Tulsa very fortunate. That play wasn't finished.
Yeah, much better corner from Culberson, but nobody was attacking the ball.
Here comes the counter from Tulsa. This is where they're at their best. Nice spin. The whistle sounds and the offside flag is in the air.
Yeah, I think he just made his run a slight bit too early.
Boy, that looked to be highlight reel stuff from Paris G. How about this receive? Look at that.
Great first touch, especially for a defender. He can play midfield as well, Mr. G. He's a D and an M and a G. I don't mean a goalkeeper, obviously.
He leads Tulsa minutes played this year, 3 goals, 6 assists. Spent time with NK Rudez in the Croatian League. They won promotion to the first league last year. So Tulsa not going away.
No, the fans are going to be starting getting just as nervous as Anthony Poulos here.
Ross, where does that start in terms of the clock and in the minutes? I think once you turn that 70 mark, and here comes an opportunity for St. Louis FC. It's Dequa again, working 1-on-2. He still has it, taken down in the box, and we will have a penalty awarded.
Great strength from Dequa. Didn't look like he was going anywhere, but just made that one quick turn. And that was enough for the Tulsa defender to make the ultimate mistake.
Albert Dequa doing work inside the 18, working against 2 defenders, and earns the penalty. Let's see.
Munoz giving his goalkeeper some advice.
Who will step it off? And it looks like it will be Wall Fall.
Yeah, Michael Gamble, it looked like in an unfamiliar position inside his own box, gave away that penalty. And here goes Mr. Fall.
Can Wall Fall deliver for St. Louis? Of course, the back of the net for Wall Fall. 3-1 St. Louis FC.
Solid penalty. Low and hard, choose your corner and go with it. That's exactly what he did. He said it might come down to a mistake the next goal, and it was.
Wall Fall now with the brace as he picks that lower right corner clean. A huge goal for St. Louis FC. And Russ, it was a great point by you. It was getting to be that time where the fans may be becoming a little bit restless, and Tulsa was making their move, but St. Louis FC and Wall Fall stretch their legs a bit.
Yep, you can see there with the fans, flags waving, smoke billowing. They're as happy as with that goal as Poulos will be.
That goal, of course, delivered by Domino's and Wall Fall for the second time here tonight. So Tulsa, who's found themselves in this spot often this season, the 7th time, tied for the USL lead in terms of penalties faced with Swope Park.
Yeah, it was all created by Decoy. It looked like he didn't have much of a chance of doing anything with 3 guys on, and made one beautiful touch, and that turned into a penalty kick and a goal.
And that foul will go against Diaz, I believe. That'll be another free kick for St. Louis FC.
A little bit of frustration perhaps coming out there. Still plenty of time for Tulsa to get back into this. Just got to get creating some of these more chances. Can't score goals without chances, unfortunately. And Tulsa just hasn't created enough quality ones tonight. This will probably be a floater in here from Hilton towards the penalty spot.
Hilton could strike from here. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
It's not for him. We've got plenty of height up there, though. There's Wall. Fink's not short either.
Curl it towards the left side. Was loose inside the 18 and bounces away.
It's exactly how they drew it up, but there was nobody making that late run in to get that header from Wall Fall.
St. Louis FC smelling some blood in the water right now, it looks like, Ross. They look determined. And it's interesting because when they took the 2-0 lead, you saw them peel back a bit. Right now, it looks like there's still a bit of pep in their step, even with that 2-goal lead this time.
Yep, I think that goal gives them the extra bit of confidence now in the second half. You know, that first goal, we will say it was a bit of a fluke with the mistake by Gomez. They'll feel that they got one back for their buddy there. Now can come forward. Hilton starting pretty deep here.
Lewis Hilton will play it back. Now long ball sent up the left side.
Oh dear. Oh, gotta be careful. We talked about those balls back into the middle. You know there's going to be at least 1 or 2 center forwards waiting there. As a coach, you never want to see that.
You know who doesn't want to see that even more? That guy.
Yeah.
Right there, Fabian Serta.
As a keeper, last thing you want to see, yeah, is balls coming back into the middle.
Serta puts a leather to it. A good deal of distance on that effort. Taken down from behind.
Yeah, that was
Merkovich.
That was a harsh goal there. Diko thought he got ball.
Diko's been pretty good for St. Louis FC here tonight as Diaz steps through, but it's been the Wall Fall power hour here in St. Louis tonight. A brace for him. We motor into the 60th minute.
You can be sure he'd be looking for that hat trick.
Diaz spins, still with it. Sends it wide to the left side. Now it's sent back up top. Turning with it.
Brandon Cervania, we also haven't heard much from him tonight.
I was just about to say that. Haven't called his name all that often. Cervania steps through. Drops it off to Diaz. Diaz in the box. His cross is headed out by who else? Kyle Culbertson. He's been the eraser here this evening.
Yeah, Diaz has got to take a strike from there. Make Gomez do some work. Yeah, Cervania, 2019 on loan from FC Dallas. Started the 4 games at center midfield, but hasn't had the impact tonight so far.
Cervania spent a year at Wake Forest, was on the ACC all-freshman team, and then left school early. Here comes Tulsa down by 2. Culbertson will track it down. Culbertson being harassed by G. G does the job to win the throw-in. There is Brandon Cervania, just 19 years of age. Certainly a bright future ahead for that man, you would think.
Yeah, he gets all over the field. No trouble in that department. Just got to get a little more involved with the ball at his feet and serving his forwards.
Kyle Gregg across midfield.
Didn't manage to keep it in. I thought he had. Might be time to start thinking about substitutions here. For both sides with this heat.
62nd minute. Heat index was over 100 degrees for much of the day in St. Louis. You see it every tight shot we have. Great camera work by our crew as always. Just the abnormal amount of perspiration going through in a hot August evening in St. Louis. It is surprising, Ross, we haven't had the hydration breaks in place today. I figured those would have been certainly a factor here tonight.
Yeah, I was thinking about why we didn't have one in the first half. Certainly might we have one in the second half. Look, a foul there, but no call.
Markovic looked like he might have went down a little bit easily. Referee didn't buy it, said play on. Some pressure from Gamble. Tulsa now with the possession in the middle. Cervania will drop it back. Who will be the first one to make a move substitution wise? We will see.
That's great work from Ferreira.
Ferreira magically keeps it in. Now steps into the box, drops it off. Stepping through, left foot shot, diving stop made by Gomez. Michael Gamble turned away.
Ferreira went down the touchline. St. Louis FC fell asleep. They thought the ball had gone out for a throw. Let's take another look at it. Here's the chance here for Gamble. It's a comfortable save by Gomez in the end. Gamble just didn't get enough power on it with that left foot.
Had the bend, just didn't have the juice. There's Ferreira again. Wall fall. A couple of goals in his back pocket. Keeper off the line. That ball sent just wide of the left post. Boy, Gomez almost caught slipping by Diaz.
Isaac Diaz, he scored a late equalizer against Fresno earlier this season. Started the last 4 games, they almost scored an absolute beauty there.
Here comes the first substitution of the evening. Michael Cox will come in for Kyle Gregg.
Yep, straight up substitution up top. Some fresh legs to keep the pressure on the back 4.
This substitution brought to you by G&W Meats, Bavarian style sausage company. Could go for Bavarian style sausage right now.
No doubt. Yeah, Michael Cox signed last month from Nashville. Let's take another look at this shot from Diaz. He looked up from 50 yards.
And gave it a good go.
Gomez was left absolutely no man's land. He was very relieved to see that go just wide.
Gomez might have made his way to the not top 10 if that one would have found the end. Might have been one of those situations where you just pick it out of the back of the net and just make your way to the showers, right? Samuel Kavita sends a nice pass to Dequa. Dequa has it taken away.
Remember a very similar goal by Mark Anderson for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers in the US Open Cup game against an MLS opponent. I can't remember it a few years ago. If you YouTube that one, it was almost very similar to that Diaz attempt there, and it actually went in.
Throw in coming. I can never get on YouTube in my house. My 2 sons always have the YouTube commandeered. Looking at trying to make slime or whatever.
Watching other people play video games.
Watching other people play video games, but not playing them themselves. Yeah, that's usually what they're about. Michael Cox just coming into the match. Turned pro at 17 years of age. A native of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Played for FC Edmonton and in the Finland Premier League. Came over from Nashville on July 12th and then went out and scored in his first appearance. Can't beat that, right, Ross?
Yeah, looks like he might see where he ends up slotting in. Definitely 1-for-1 with Gregg, but he might sit a little further back. Help out on the deal. That's an awful throw. Straight up in the air. Ooh.
Lewis Hilton taken down.
Yep, careful. That's a little bit of frustration there. Well,
Now,
Merkovich, perhaps.
the card will be taken out, I believe. Merkovich not happy.
Well, he's telling Lewis Hilton exactly what he thinks about that. Perhaps that he thought he dived.
Now the official's telling him what he thought about it. And handing out a card, and Merkovich better be careful. He made the swipe at the referee right there. Almost made contact.
He was very upset. As will this man be with a 3-1 loss. 3-1 deficit, excuse me.
Michael Encian, who has done some good things, the interim head coach for the Tulsa Roughnecks. He's taken them to a very respectable 2-3-3 mark since taking over.
We'll see if it'll be enough the rest of the season if he gets to retain his job next year. It's just interim at the moment.
You made mention of the fact guys are playing for jobs and playing for contracts. Encian's coaching with much that same directive.
Yeah, I know he's involved with the local amateur sides quite a bit in Tulsa, so he might have other things he needs to get done. We might have to bring somebody else in for next season. We'll see.
Encian, the director of coaching for the Tulsa Soccer Club, as a player spent some time with the Portland Timbers and the LA Galaxy. The goalkeeping coach is Donovan Ricketts.
Very familiar name for those international soccer fans out there. A long time player here in the USA. And for Jamaica, I think.
Michael Cox almost able to catch up. But in the end, just not able to get there. Fans, make sure you watch highlights from every game of the 2018 season and stay up to date with news from across the USL at the league's official Facebook page, facebook.com/USL Soccer.
Yeah, it was right. Ricketts, former Jamaican international, more than 100 appearances for Bradford in England and more than 100 in MLS. He's also the captain of Jamaica, 100 caps for his country. That doesn't happen very often.
No. That means you are a staple of soccer in your country. Cervania. Offside. Vukovic.
St. Louis quite happy to sit back here and let Tulsa knock it about.
Tavares can't thread the needle. St. Louis FC. Just over 20 minutes left here in regulation play. Not the most motivated to turn and just matriculate up the field. But they've earned that right with that 2-goal lead. Long ball sent ahead. Here's Ferreira. Ferreira sending it down to the top of the D. Diaz shot is blocked.
Diaz again with just that second of hesitation. Lost the opportunity to strike one on goal. Ferreira has definitely been the most impressive player tonight for Tulsa, especially at the age he is.
Vukovic, as his cross played out, he will win a corner. He has been impressive. 17 years of age. As Ferreira, as you get a look at Vukovic winning that corner.
He's been on loan from Dallas since May. He's getting that valuable experience of minutes, which he definitely wouldn't be getting in Dallas. He started the last two on the right wing, but obviously, as he showed tonight, can play on the left just as well.
Isaac Diaz. Trigger the corner. The battle for real estate begins. Corner serve towards the back post. Headed up to the top of the 18 and just cleared out by St. Louis FC.
It's back-to-back games for goals for Ferreira. He scored a nice one last week on a cutback from G against Real Monarchs. He's taking a claim for a spot in this lineup consistently now.
Dequa will send it back.
St. Louis in no hurry to really push this.
Ball played back to Serta. St. Louis FC in a position where they can pick their spots with what they want to do.
Joey Calistri. Making sure Tulsa doesn't take that that throw in a hurry.
Dakers will pressure. The pass connects. Tavares the target. Once again played away. Good work by Dakers. He's had moments of brilliance here tonight as well. Calistri. Line to the right, Dequa. Left side attack. Settled down Lewis Hilton. Left foot volley, not much on it. Handled easily by Serta. Tulsa needs to get on the move here. Clock becoming an enemy with every second that ticks. Now in the 73rd minute, 3-1 St. Louis FC with the lead. My name is Neil Rule, my broadcast partner Ross Davenport. Happy to have you with us wherever you may be watching around the world. USL Soccer on a Saturday night. Huge matchup with big playoff implications in the Western Conference. St. Louis FC needing this 3 points here this evening. And through 72.5 minutes of play, they're looking good. Can they close the door? Left side attack. Cross over top. Boy, Dequa was right there on the doorstep, just couldn't quite get up high enough. Substitution coming for Tulsa. Alex Covarrubias will come into the match. Covarrubias, 97 career matches played for LA Galaxy 2, over 100 appearances during his career. This substitution brought to you by G&W Meats.
Yep, sacrificing the defensive midfielder Mirkovic. Covarrubias will surely push forward. Started the last 2 games. Only joined Tulsa about a month ago. See where he slots in here. He's slotting right now in the defensive midfield spot, but I'm sure he's going to be asked to get forward. Try and get Tulsa back in this game.
Tulsa will retreat. Fans, you can get an inside look at life on and off the field from a player's perspective every Wednesday evening in the latest edition of From the Pitch on USLsoccer.com. A couple of players on the turf. The foul will go against that man, Kadeem Dakers. Substitutions coming on right now. St. Louis FC will bring in number 20, Tony Walls, when they get a chance. There is Walls waiting to come into the match. And yes, it is official. So the night comes to an end for Wall Fall. Fall short in his bid for the hat trick, but Ross, he'll have to settle for the brace, I guess, right? He'll take it.
I think he'll take that as long as the score remains the same. Here's a look at his 2 goals. First one in the corner is finding himself in plenty of space at the back post. Good solid finish. Also had the penalty to go along with that. So Wall off, Walls on.
Don't get to say that too often, right? No. Substitution brought to you by G&W Meats. So Tony Walls in. Tulsa will have a substitution coming in momentarily as well. I believe they'll get that at the next stoppage. Tony Wall was the former captain and MVP for the Rhinos when they won the USL Championship in 2015. Albert Dequa turns around with it. St. Louis FC with time on their side and the scoreboard on their side. '76th minute. Kavita.
Oh, great touch.
Nifty back heel. Here comes the attack. Dequa goes across. And Michael Cox was on the end. There's another cross. Cox with a target. He slaps a goalpost in frustration. Also trying to counter. Instead, Culbertson will settle it down. But Ross, one more time, you get the feeling here, St. Louis FC, the Sharks are circling the waters, looking to finish this thing off.
Yeah, they love that fourth goal, just to pad that goal differential. And another substitution here for Tulsa.
DJ Dean will come into the match. I believe that is the sub, and that is the case. DJ Dean started the second half against Colorado Springs last week, just 19 years of age. As always, substitutions presented by G&W Meats.
Dean's featured in 3 of the last 4, starting 1. Signed in June, young legs out there. Run around for the last 15 minutes or so. See if he can create some magic and pull his team back into this.
Ball sent in towards Dequa. Culbertson walking the line. Culbertson still with it. Now they'll say it crossed over.
And St. Louis, as you said, look a lot more comfortable with this 3-1 lead than they did with that 2-0 lead. Sometimes when you get that early 2-goal lead, you got to think about all the time that you have to still hold on to it. Another substitution coming here.
Austin Martz. So Austin Martz comes in, and the day is over for Kadeem Dakers. But Ross, some very solid play for Kadeem Dakers here this evening.
Yep, gets off a little early to rest for the rest of his birthday celebrations this evening, and we get Austin Martz on the field. Fast winger out of Georgetown, been out since April after hip surgery. Good to see him back.
Martz signed his first contract to the Maltese Premier League. And trots out onto the field. As you said, coming back from injury. Substitution brought to you by G&W Meats.
He could be a key feature down the stretch this season for St. Louis. He gives them a bit of speed they don't potentially have in midfield with the lineup they started tonight. Here he goes.
He makes the run into the corner. That was a fresh leg run, no question about it. Dequa trying to find his way through inside the 18. That ball nearly given away. Official says play on as Hilton was taken to the turf inside the 18.
Leave your feet inside that box. There's always the chance of a penalty happening. Hilton was feeling that pressure.
Culbertson.
Joey Calistri tried his best to keep that ball in. Acrobatic effort, but not good enough.
Calistri had 9 goals for Tulsa last year during his time on loan. Played 16 matches for the Chicago Fire in 2016.
Look at Austin Martz. You can tell he hasn't played since April. He's chasing everything like a rabbit.
Right now, Tulsa defenders are saying, hey, guy, it's like 92 degrees out here. The humidity's 1,000%. We played 80 minutes. Cool it.
No, it's good to see him out there. Anthony Poulos talked about during the week that he might come on for the last 10 or 15 minutes or so, and he's got his wish. Especially in a game with a 2-goal lead.
Kavita sends it back, and now the aforementioned Martz will collect it. Martz, the top, played away at the last possible moment.
Looked like Soto was going to give away an inevitable penalty there and managed just to keep his feet enough to not knock Martz over at low center of gravity.
Gamble. Wide to the left side. Here's DJ Dean. Stepping over. Nice move, DJ Dean. Steps over one more time. The touch lets him down as it gets just away from his feet.
Just one step over too many.
That ball threaded through. But Serta off the line. Well, good anticipation from Serta. Could have been party time for St. Louis FC.
No, it's good positioning, especially this late in the game as a goalkeeper. You sometimes forget where you need to be. You need to be a good 5 or 10 yards outside that box to stop that exact kind of attack.
DJ Dean the target again. But on this warm evening, there's Anthony Poulos.
5 wins in 6. They can hold on to this one.
Michael Encian and the Tulsa Roughnecks in a very different situation than St. Louis FC. And again, can't stress it enough. Encian's made a difference with this squad. 2-3-3 mark in their last 8 matchups. Ferreira nearly dangerous again. Ross, we've seen these fresh legs come in the form of Austin Martz for St. Louis FC and DJ Dean for Tulsa. They've had impacts.
Yeah, the one guy we haven't seen though is Corey Herzog, who's a player to watch before the game. If St. Louis keep playing the way they are and stick with things, keep those fresh legs for when they might need a late goal, especially on these upcoming road games.
DJ Dean played his high school soccer at Union High School in Oklahoma. There was a chance for Michael Cox, has his shot blocked. Mati Tavares, we said his name a lot in the first half, but not as much here in the second.
Yeah, we talked about St. Louis next at Sounders 2. The next 3 games after that are against teams above them in the standings. So those are the ones really going to show you if this team deserves a playoff spot or not.
That was the hot topic of discussion in our pre-production meeting. Sounders 2 in St. Louis Wednesday right here on ESPN Plus, 9 p.m. Central Time. So you have to stay up a bit later than normal, but it'll be worth it. Tulsa will square off against Swope Park on Wednesday as well.
Yep, these Wednesday games really put a wrench into the works of coaches. They've got to figure out who they can bench and who they can keep on going with. St. Louis have managed to keep the key 3 together in the back, the key 2 in the middle, with Hilton and Wall even on those Wednesday games. So they'll likely stick with that, but the changes will be on the wings. And up front, you would think Corey Herzog likely to get a good chance at a starting spot on Wednesday.
Defended well by Claudio Munoz. And that could be the scenario, right? When you go through and climb around the mind of Anthony Poulos, and he says, look, we got a trip to the Pacific Northwest coming up on Wednesday. Maybe that was a bit of a calculated gamble with Corey Herzog, in that you can keep that in your back pocket fresh in Seattle on Wednesday night. You never had to play that card here this evening, it looks like, anyway.
No, for sure.
Tavares steps through. Tavares sets it up, and it's fired wide of the frame. A prime chance for Tulsa.
Another chance missed by Gamble.
Final sub coming in for Tulsa. Uzi Tayu will come in, replacing Paris G. Substitution presented by G&W Meats. Uzi Tayu spent some time in college with the Garden City Busters.
Let's take a look at that last Gamble shot. Great work by Tavares, and oh, Gamble just popped up a little bit almost off the penalty spot there, and it was a difficult finish.
Bit of an unlucky break for Gamble, being right on top of that penalty spot, as you talked about. Just that little hop that changes everything. Because in this league, USL, high level of soccer, you don't get a lot of time, so you got a rear back fired trigger ready to go. Ball alters course.
Yeah, Gamble's still stuck on 2 goals for the season.
Former second-round pick of the New England Revolution in the 2016 MLS draft.
We talked about Austin Martz coming back. Captain Jonathan Barden apparently isn't far away either. Posted on Instagram this week that he's looking to get back soon. That would be a great boost for St. Louis if they could get him back sooner rather than later.
Ross, you more of a Graham guy or more of a Twitter guy or Facebook?
I'm all 3. Me and Jonathan Barden have an interesting connection in that his dad used to coach me in high school in England. So I'd love to see him back on the field and getting involved with his team. And almost back healthy again at the right time. And they're doing well even without him. But he'd slot straight back into that lineup, no doubt.
So Anthony Poulos really getting right at the right time as far as the health of his squad is concerned. Coming down the stretch, compact schedule. DJ Dean stepping through, and the pass lets Dean down. But if you can pick a time where you want to start to get everybody back, and you're Anthony Poulos, today is that time.
No, St. Louis is one of those teams, if you're one of the top seeds in the West, you don't want to be seeing them in the first round of the playoffs the way they're playing right now, and the players coming back, getting back healthy.
And And what they've been able to do at Toyota Stadium, it is tough to score on them. In this facility, here's DJ Dean stepping through. Dean wide to the left, taken off, but will win the corner. No, will it be the goal kick?
That was great defensive work by Reynolds, I think it was.
Boy, he did all that defensively, did Sean Reynolds, and didn't even concede the corner either.
Got his body in the way against the smaller player. Forced him out wide and got the goal kick.
St. Louis looks like they will continue their August stretch, outscoring opponents 11-4 in the month of August. That ball finds its way to the keeper, Serta.
Yeah, we'll really see what this team is made of with these tough road games coming up. Yeah, the Sounders might be near the bottom of the standings, but then again, we talked about Swope and Real Monarchs and Phoenix. You know, is this team for real? They've had some easier opponents over this stretch. And obviously, that loss to Fresno was a tough one. But again, that was on a Saturday coming after a Wednesday.
And that was the rare time where they didn't come out and jump in front of the opponent like they have during this stretch.
No, those Wednesday ones are tough. You got a light practice Thursday, and then you got to travel on the road on Friday and then play again. You're basically playing between games without, you know, with no practice between either game. And it showed.
Dequa gets on the end of that pass.
He's going to the corner. Goal kick.
Goal kick awarded as we motor into the 89th minute. Tulsa Roughnecks able to fight back. They fell behind 2-0 early on in this match. Got it to 2-1. But then Wall Fall buried a penalty in the second half, and that is the spread St. Louis FC is working with.
Yeah, Tulsa haven't disgraced themselves tonight.
No.
In the midfield with the possession, and again, as the story has been all season, just haven't created enough quality chances. Blanca might be coming here, though.
In and a diving stop made by Gomez. Jesus Ferreira right on the doorstep, but Gomez closes the door.
Yeah, Ferreira, he wasn't even sure if he thought that pass was going to get to him. Let's take another look at it.
Gomez puts the boot, sends it across midfield. Stepping through, Austin Martz. Sent wide to the right side. Albert Dequa. Let's cross. Sent away. St. Louis FC does earn the corner, but let's check out that last shot attempt as Gomez came through big time.
Great coach from Vukovic. Oh. He wants that one back again. Ferry knew that was a great quality chance. The ones we talked about. The schedule hasn't been kind to Tulsa. This is their second of 5 straight on the road.
Another Electro Savings corner kick. St. Louis FC, as prescribed, plays it short. Lots of space for them to work in the middle.
I don't see too much of more than a couple of minutes maybe of injury time with the substitutions.
Good call. 2 minutes of stoppage time. It's been a fun match, though. Lots of good action in it.
Sam Fink getting forward. Thought about taking one. Go on, Sam. Yeah.
Fink does have a goal this year. Trying to add to his collection, possibly. Tony Walls sends it back. Culbertson's been strong here tonight, especially defensively. Tony Walls.
Yeah, they got this one in the bag now. Just a question of watching those seconds tick away. And they'll start packing their bags. I might have a practice or two first, but start thinking about packing their bags for that long trip to the Northwest.
St. Louis FC will move to 38 points, so from a points perspective, they'll be level with Reno 1868 for the 6th spot, which Ross 6 matches ago would have been inconceivable to think about, but here they are.
No, it's great runs gotten them where they are, and you wonder if they're going to be scoreboard watching tonight with those late games on the docket.
Reno will square off against Sacramento. 9:30 Central Time. So St. Louis FC fans, when you get done watching tonight's match, go ahead, fire it up on ESPN Plus and have a look. Cross sent in.
Good work there by Dean.
Sacramento Republic with 43 points in the table. So somebody's not coming away with 3. If you're St. Louis FC, you stay hot, stay on everybody's tail.
I think they might be rooting for the tie in that one tonight.
Here comes Vukovic. Goes wide to Dean. Dean with the cross. Right foot shot. Finds the back of the net for Tulsa. It's not over yet.
I know Anthony Poulos, we talked about this earlier in the week. He doesn't like to talk to his team after the game, but he'll be talking to them right now verbally from the sideline with that late goal.
Ferreira gets another one. He's got a brace.
Good finish. One to watch for the future, this gentleman.
He has been impressive, no doubt about it. All of 17 years old. And the whistle sounds. So St. Louis FC takes care of business when they had to have it tonight. They got it. They defeat Tulsa Roughnecks FC by the final score of 3-2.
Nice win. Keep this good streak going. 5 out of the last 6. Those 2 goals might come back to haunt them. Anthony Poulos will be upset, but there's a man with 2 goals tonight. Mr. Warfall.
St. Louis FC undefeated in their last 6 matches at home. And Ross, we talked about it in our meetings. We talked about it in the open. This would be a match for St. Louis FC. Look, on paper, should they win this match? Yes, they should. But it's another thing to do it. They handled business here tonight.
Yeah, Tulsa showed again that they're never ones to give up. Again, the first goal was gifted to them a little bit, and that goal was obviously the last kick of the game there. But a 3-2 loss, look, it looks a lot worse on paper than I think it was.
Very entertaining match. Lots of goals in this one. But St. Louis FC, in the end, just too much. Jesus Ferreira, though, certainly was a factor. Had a brace in this match. But speaking of braces, that man Wall-Fall finished everything off with that penalty. St. Louis FC with the 3-2 win. We'll be back to finish everything up live from St. Louis.
There's really only one place where the carpets are always red and the stars are everywhere you look. There's no place like Hollywood. Hollywood Casino St. Louis.
A lottery ticket is so much more than a piece of paper. It's wonder, opportunity, dreams. And not just for players. 100% of the profits from every Missouri lottery ticket you play goes back to schools, teachers, and students. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery.
When you need quality electrical work for your home or business, look to the electricalconnection.org. Created as a partnership between IBEW Local 1 electricians and the St. Louis chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association, the Electrical Connection has been setting the standard for electrical excellence in St. Louis for over 100 years. You can depend on our highly skilled and trained workforce, your #1 source for quality electrical and communication contractors, electricalconnection.org.
Back to St. Louis, Neil Rule, Ross Davenport with you. 3-2, St. Louis FC with the win over Tulsa Roughnecks FC. So maybe a little bit more of a battle than you thought it was going to be here this evening, especially after St. Louis FC jumped out to a 2-0 lead. As we take a look at the action from tonight, the Tulsa Roughnecks FC, not to be denied, to try to climb back into this match. Wall Fall got the party started for St. Louis early. And then just a few moments after that, they tacked on another one. Tulsa FC, Ross, with the breakdown.
Yeah, here's the wide angle. You see that run from Hilton a good 20 yards back. He never stopped. Got the ball where he wanted it. And great finish.
Lewis Hilton gets an easy one. And you thought it was going to get late early in St. Louis after Hilton finished this effort. Tulsa Roughnecks FC might be blown out of the building, but no. The 17-year-old Jesus Ferreira would strike. That would be the last time that we see Ferreira do the deed for Tulsa, but that was a big goal in the match, made it 2-1. It would stay that way until halftime. Coming out of the halftime break, great effort by Albert Dequa, and then Wall Fall would finish off the penalty. And really, Ross, that was the one that broke the back of Tulsa.
Yeah, that was the killer. St. Louis didn't look comfortable at 2-0 again, sitting back, but this one gave them an extra bit of confidence and finished it. Other than the last goal, he looked very comfortable after this one.
Jesus Ferreira would find the back of the net to end the match, but the hay was already in the barn for St. Louis FC. Surprisingly, Ross, Tulsa with more of the possession, but you never got that feeling here tonight that St. Louis was in real danger of losing or even drawing this match.
No, 15 shots on target for Tulsa. 15 shots and only 5 on targets for Tulsa. Meanwhile, St. Louis got 5 on target of their 9. Yeah, I think it was a fair result in all. St. Louis continuing their march up the Western Conference standings.
So another big matchup coming up. St. Louis will hit the road and go to Seattle on Wednesday night. But as for now, they draw even with Reno 1868 in the Western Conference standings. 9 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday night, August 29th. So again, Ross, everything stays in motion for St. Louis FC. Huge matchup again, just like tonight. Every matchup they play will be the next biggest one.
Yeah, big tests to come on the road, especially as we talked about. They do have that sort of cushion of those last few games at home. But they want to prove themselves against these the teams in the top 6 or 7, sorry, the top 6 of the Western Conference standings in these games coming up here after Seattle.
St. Louis FC certainly has to like their spot in the game right now. They finish 3 of the final 4 of the season at home, but some big tests on the road. The St. Louligans rolled out in force here tonight, and they were rewarded with a 3-2 victory by St. Louis FC. Our broadcast partner, Ross Davenport. My name is Neil Rule. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a great night. Well, see you later.
The cast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.